Hello beautiful people, welcome to how to build your first REST API in Go. My name is Abba Joseph, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you quickly how you can build API in Go. Now, my objectives are simple. 1, productivity. 2, the simplicity of Go, and I want to show you exactly what we are going to build. Now look at the routes that I have here. We are going to craft this from scratch. But before we go ahead with the tutorial, I want to run the program to show you exactly what we'll be building. So this is what I have. I'm running the server and I want to come to this payload.http and we can run all this HTTP command right from here. If you want, you can use Postman or any of your favorite API testing tool. So let's click on this button and we have the author. We can click on all the authors. We just created a new one. This is an author with ID of 3. Let's take this one with ID of 4. We want to update. So what is the name here? Let's change it to James Jane or something silly. All right, we have it. And we can create new book. So I'm going to just put some random book here, sample. But let's make sure we update this as well with the author ID of probably 4. And we create the book. For sure, we get a payload. We can fetch all the books in the database. We can get a specific book. We can update a book. We can delete, of course. So this is what we have, and this is what we'll be building. So if you have some time, please watch this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please. I am appealing to people to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to like the video. If you don't like the video, remember to leave a comment and tell me why, because we are learning and we want to improve all the time. All right, now let's get started with the tutorial. So let's start with a plain project. Nothing here. So what I want to do is to install the dependencies. First, we are going to need Gene. So I'm going to come here. Let's expand this, paste Gene. So Gene Gonic. And after that, we are going to need Gorm. Okay, we have Gorm. Then we need a Postgres driver for Gorm or Gorm. I like to pronounce it Gorm. Right, so we have the 3 installed. Everything is done with dependency. We don't need more than that. I'm going to come here and start like putting main.go file. Maybe increase this as well. All right, beautiful. We can just put a log.print here. There's nothing yet, just hello world. And we can run go. And this is our hello world. Everything looks great. So far, so good. Next step is we're going to need a database to run. So I'm going to put a Docker compose here. So let's say docker-compose.yml. I'll paste this, and let's change this a little bit. I'm going to say bookstore API for the database, and I can say database bookstore because I don't want it to clash with my other projects. And we can do this port 56, and everything should remain the same. This is, we are going to start this to have a database instance running. All right, that's it. Next step is to start setting up our models and database connection and all that. So let's start with database connection. All right, connecting to the database is quite simple. I'm just going to say initialize database. something like this. And we paste this long string. It's a little bit messy. We want to make sure that the host, everything match exactly what we have here. So let's go and check it. This is the database name, book_user is the username, password is password, port is 5456. So let's come here. Everything looks good here. We're going to change this. We're going to change this to 6. And we leave everything as it is. So here we can do some connection. Maybe I can start like an arrow here. What else? Models. We need, for now, I'm going to say DB error. You know what? Let's come back to this place. We come back here. Let me put a package here called models. In this models package, let's put a connect.go. So what we're doing now, we need just a little function here that helps us connect to the database. So I'm going to put some sort of package level variable here. A lot of people are going to frown on this, but there's a reason why I'm doing this. I don't want to introduce a lot of interfaces, a lot of structure to make it confusing. I want to keep it simple, basically showing the flexibility and simplicity of Go. At the same time, this is quite productive, so I'm going to leave this a package level variable. In case you want to crucify me, please just understand why I'm doing this. All right, so connect to database. What do I need? I need a DSN string, urm.db and error. Okay. So the DB gorm.open. This is why we installed Postgres. Remember the Postgres driver we installed? This is where we need it. Here you can pass custom configs, but I don't want to pass any config. You can take a look to see it has a lot of configurations, but we don't need that. If error is not me, for sure we can return the error. Else we return the DB and error will be near here. Okay, good. Now let's go back to main. What we are going to do here now, we're going to say models.db and error, which we already have, is going to be models.connect to database DSN. Okay. If error is not me, I'm going to log fatal connection to DB failed and the error. That's it. Then we come here, init database. That's it. Let's run it. It should fail, of course. Good. It failed because the Docker Compose, we've not started the container, so it's good. Next step is to work on some of the models, the structures of our data. Let's come to models, create another file called book. And I'm going to create a second one called author, right? Let's start with authors. Model is always the closest thing to your data. You almost have replica of your database fields in the model. So let's start with the author. And we're going to embed gorm.model. This is where ORM shines. It brings some magic. It's going to be strings, and then we're going to also have books because authors can have many books. So this is a one-to-many relationship. Now this book struct does not exist yet. We're going to add it in this file, but bear with me. Here we need the JSON. Name is going to be name. Binding is for, the binding is good for when we want to marshal data. All right, and here we're going to do similar thing, but here is going to be books. I'm going to omit empty for in case when we fetch the authors and they don't have any book. I don't want the books field to be in the payload. All right, so let's switch to the book, and we can define book struct Gorm. All right, title is to be string, ISBN string, author ID. I think let's make sure that it matches. We didn't put an ID here, so that is a little bit some kind of look at. So you have this ID created at and everything. So if we want, we can. We don't need to. We can bring out those fields, but we can just leave it. So author is U in, so it has to match. It has to match like this. All right. And what else do we need? What else do we need? We need author ID, and then we just need the author itself, the object. All right. This, we are not going to persist this, but we need this one in the table. We need the JSON. Okay, JSON is there, binding. Why don't we just copy over the binding to save us? Let's save ourselves some time. Paste, paste, I think paste. We're going to the title, ISBN, and author underscore ID. Okay, JSON is important here as well. I'm also going to do omit empty here. For binding, we're going to skip it. All right, now when you want to create a book, I don't want us to use this model. I want a different one. So let's add that one quickly. I'm going to create book input struct. So title, ISBN. We can copy everything here and paste it. Actually, that's exactly what we need. All right, what next? We need to start the server and do some other cool stuff. Now we have this model. We can connect to the database, and in main, we have the database connection here. So let's collapse this, or sorry, fold it, and we can do some cool stuff here. All right. Here, I want to start by creating an instance of Gene using the default one. The difference between default and new is that new does not include like loggers, recovery, middleware, and all that. So if you want to take full control, you should use new. Default comes with some default like what you're seeing here. See, they basically calling new and then adding some middleware, so nothing special about it. All right, then we are going to do something. We are going to add a package called route. Then we say setup routes, and we pass this. After that, I'm going to do, let's listing equals r.run So we can do 80. If for any reason we are unable to run, we can log theta, and that's it. The only thing we need to do now is to define this package, and we can put routes. Some people pronounce these routes, so I pronounce it routes. I think it's routes is better. Gene.engine. Now we should be able to import it automatically, and the error has gone. Well, here we don't have anything yet, so let's say author routes. Gene, you can use a grouping, so authors, right? And then we just do this. Basically, this is creating a new context for you here, and we can do posts, for instance. So when you make request to /post, we can call a handler, but we don't have any handler, so let's do controllers dot create author, for instance. Now we don't have this. So the next step is to create this package controllers and these functions inside. Now, before I do that, I want to explain something quickly. There are many ways to structure your Go project. And in short, one of the most difficult things in the Go world is how do you structure your program? How do you structure your APIs and all that? For me, depending on what I'm doing, I like to keep things simple. For this project, which is a relatively small project, I want to make sure things are straightforward, things are transparent. So I'm going to just use regular functions, no embedding, no creating struct and attaching models, injecting dependencies. No, I'm going to keep it really straightforward, direct function. So let's come here now and I create a new package, controllers. And in that controller package, we can put, this is authors, right? You can say authors controller or something. Controllers, I don't know. Yeah. We can then do C gene.context. Good. And if you go here now, that becomes the controller. You see, it is a classic function. The only requirement is it takes this gene context. So this is where everything starts. This is where we're going to put our code to create our author. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to say author, var author, models of author. If you don't want to use the model directly, you can create like, let's go back here quickly. In like what we have here, this is like a DTO. So you create a DTO like this. But this is relatively simple model. So we can, if you create a DTO, it's going to look like it's just going to have this name. But here, we can go ahead and do it. All right. So we have the author and what we need c.should. So when the payload is coming from the user, we want to bind the payload to the author, this author struct that we have. So should bind JSON. We pass the address, then we check for error. If for some reasons we have any error, we want to return something back to the user. So I'm going to say c.json status is bad request. And Gene has a map that we can put anything we want inside. So I'm going to just say error, and that's it. So basically, at this point here, we should have the data from the user preloaded here. That means all the seeds there should be set for us. Next step is to create the record in the database. So I'm going to say if error db create. We are now using the Gorm for real here. Pass the author error. If we have any error, we want to also return something back to the user. Ideally, this should be internal server error. Internal server error, and then we put the error there. Of course, if you are building a big project, you want to do login, you want to do many things here, and you probably don't want to return this error to the user. You want to log it and inspect it properly. After that, for sure, we can come here now. Everything looks okay at this point, so we can say status okay. We no longer need this. We can pass in the author at this point. And this is a complete implementation of how to create the author record in our database. So let's go ahead and do something. Docker compose up. All right, I think we have it running now. In order for things to work properly, we need to migrate the record here. After the database connection, I can come here and say if error equal to models.db auto migrate. This is going to create the record in database, so like your tables. So we need models. We first of all create the authors table, then we create the books table. Okay. All right. If anything goes wrong, for sure we want to print the error. So migration failed. Migration failed. All right. Now time to run it. Go run. Let me expand this for you a little bit. Okay, looks great. No error. So, and then we have these authors. Looks good. Looks good. So I'm going to stop the server for a moment. And let me copy over the payload for testing. So let's come here and say payload.http. I'll paste. This is the endpoint to create an author. So I'm going to come here, run the server, then I click on it. Okay, works great. You see, we have it created. Let's add my name as well. That should be an author. Run another one. Fantastic. So that endpoint is working. So far, so good. I think if you have watched the video to this point, I think you should be proud of yourself. Thank you. All right, next step is to add more endpoints. So let's go add more endpoints. Now that we can create an author, let's also add a function for us to get an author. So I'm going to say get authors. So this one is to fetch all the authors in the database. I have a typo here. Get authors. How do we do that? We need a slice of authors. So models.author, right? And we can call this find, pass in the authors. I don't want to waste a lot of time, so I'm just going to copy this line, bring it here. And this is it. We need to mount it in the route. So let's go to the routes, duplicate, mount it, get. Now let's run the server again. We should have two routes exactly. So you see, you have two, the post and the get. And if we go into the HTTP payload, let me run this one now to get all the authors. See, we have both. Lovely. You see, the productivity is lovely. It's very, very quick. And the application is fast. Next, let's go back there. Let's get a specific author. So we can copy this, paste, get author. This one needs a little bit of attention, so we need the ID to be passed in to us. So string conf, I need it to become an integer. All right, next is we need an author, not authors. Okay. And what next? We need to find it. So what I'm going to do here, if models dot, okay, I'm going to preload it. So when authors with books, we should see their books. So books first, the author and the ID, error. If error is not nif, that means the author doesn't exist. We can come here. Let's copy this error message. And here, start not found for sure. Just say author not found. Author not found. Quickly, and here we can return the author. So this is it. Next is to mount it to the route. So let's go and mount it to the route here. So we come here, we put the colon ID, and we say get author. Now let's run the server. We should have 3 now, you see. Authors slash the ID. If we go to run the test, so we should be able to find, first let's look at the database. We have ID of 1 and 2. That means we can put ID of 1 here and run it, and this is the payload. Fantastic. All right, and when for delete, update, and the rest, they are not that different. So I'm going to basically copy and paste the code, and then we just look at it. They are not very different. So let's copy and paste the code. So basically what we did here, we got the ID, same thing. We got the ID and we created a model. We tried to find the author first, and the same thing we did here. And then this time we map the input coming to the author, and then we save. After that we return OK, and that's it for that. The same thing, we can go to the route now. We can go to the route. Instead of get, we change it to put, and it's update author. Right, that's it. Let's look at it very well. Update authors. I think I have a little bit of typo here. Okay, and that's it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 endpoints. We can do the 5th one as well, which is for delete. So delete is also super easy. So I'm going to copy delete over as well. Basically duplicating what we have done. And let's paste delete. We did the same thing, grab the ID, then try to delete it. This is the model, try to delete it, and then we return. That's it. So let's go and test it. We're going to test update and delete. We have this one. Let's fetch this. You see, this is the author. The one with ID of 2, which is me, is here. So let's use that one. Put the ID of 2. Before it was Joseph Abba. I can say Joseph Abba. Maybe at a point I will be called Doctor. Not yet. Maybe more appropriate will be engineer. Alright, so then we can click on this and you see it has been updated. Let's refetch it here. It has been updated. We can try to delete it. Delete. See, it has been deleted. Now let's try to fetch it. You see, author not found. Let's try to update it. Author not found. So we are protected. Next is books. Alright, so let's go and work with the books endpoints. The book endpoint is very similar to what we have here. So I'm going to just bring the code over here. And you see we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 endpoints. Very similar to what we have here. So I'm not going to waste your time typing everything out. But there is something interesting. The most interesting one is the create book. So let's go ahead and implement that one. Then we can move the rest over gradually. We come here. Book. Controllers or something like that. Func. Gene.context. First, we need that input from model. So this is a create book input. We are going to, when requests come from the user, we first of all pre-fill this input with the data. This is very important. I need to bind it like this, so it's good we just copy it over. And we're going to bind it to this. Okay, good. That's out of the way. Next step is the author. Because of database reference, we need the author in order to create the book. So the author must exist before the book. So models.author. And in order for us to be sure, we have to check the database that the author truly exists. So first, author and input.author ID. This was sent to us, remember? Now, if it's not there, for sure, we can say author not found. Or something like this, right? And this can be bad request, it can be 404, but I think this is a bad request because it's part of the payload. This is how I think about it. Now, at this stage, we have the author here. So let's create the book instance. Book. I can try to feed the feed, so I don't need this one. This is optional. Setting the author itself is optional here. But author ID, for sure we need it. Input.isbn, for sure we need that. And of course the title. Now that we have it, every other thing is easy. I'm going to copy over this. Instead of, I'm going to put create, and we're going to create the book. All right, we're creating the book, and if we're unable to create it, internal server error, and let's put the error here. I think that's it. After that, I want to preload the model so that we can we can send it out to the user or the customer that made the request. So I'm going to preload the book with the author. First book, and we refetch it. Okay, after that, we just return it for sure. JSON, HTTP status, and we just say book. So this is the most difficult of the 5 methods. We first of all, we binded the data to our DTO, try to find the author. When we found the author, we construct the instance of book. Some people don't like to call this instance, but I think it's easier for people coming from object-oriented background. You can call it like book is of type. This book is the type of this. Then we create it in the database, we preload it, and we return it. So that's it. I think this is already mapped. We can comment everything else out to test it. Run it. Yeah, for sure. We have books already mounted now. And payload. Okay. I know we have author with at least ID of 1, so I'm going to run it now, and it has been created. The book has been created. Fantastic. The author was also preloaded as part of it. So great. Now if we say get all books, no endpoint for that, so we're going to get 404. Let's go and make that happen. Routes. We need to uncomment everything. I'm going to just bring the code in, and we can talk about them. All the code, they're very small code, so we don't need to type everything out from scratch. That's just a waste of time. All right, so I pasted the code, so I'm going to close this one. For the get books, you see, it's very simple. We've done it before. We created the slice here, and then load the book from database, return it. Getting a specific book, the same thing, just like we did with the author, same thing. Updates, very similar, same thing. Delete, same thing. So nothing special, nothing complicated here at all. So we have all the endpoints, and I'm going to go here and run the code, and we can call, where is the payload? Run this, all the books. See, we have just one. We can create another one here. You see, we created another one. When we run it again, you see we have them. Can get a specific book. This one. We can update a book. It's been updated. You know, we can try to delete a book deleted. Now that I've deleted a book, let's try to get it, and book not found. This is fantastic. Productivity is also great. You can build some things out very quickly in Go. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to talk a little bit about the structure of this program. First, there are many things, many great things I didn't do here. One is environmental variables, managing your secret and all that. And I left this here for simplicity. You know, you never want to do this, right? So I don't know what I'm doing. For sure, I know exactly what I'm doing. So my objectives were very clear from the beginning, is to show you simplicity, the simplicity of Go, productivity, and how quickly you can get things done in Go. So it's what it is. Yeah, this is it. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and not just subscribing, you can also share this video on your social media, support the channel, like the video. The algorithm is really tough. I think the more people that likes the video, the better it is. The recommendation is better. So please, if you watch the video to this minute, this is really important for me. If you can help me, like and share. Thank you so much. Abba Joseph, do have a lovely, lovely weekend. Bye for now.